Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue chez Luxgears. Alors, si vous avez cliqué sur ce lien, c'est que vous voulez en apprendre plus sur elle, oui, la GT3 RS. Eh bien, qu'est-ce que je vous propose? Je vous propose d'assister à la conférence de presse à laquelle on a été conviés, nous les journalistes, pour découvrir cette voiture sur le circuit Silverstone derrière le volant. Alors, ce que je vous propose, c'est pas encore les images derrière le volant parce que là, on est tenu par un embargo qui dure jusqu'au 5 octobre. Par contre, vous allez pouvoir assister à la conférence de presse à laquelle nous avons assisté nous. C'est-à-dire que vous allez vous mettre un peu à notre place et recevoir les informations que Porsche nous a données à nous les journalistes. Donc j'ai pensé que ça aurait été sympa de vous faire partager cette expérience. Et ensuite, lorsque la date sera venue, eh bien, vous pourrez aller voir nos images en caméra embarquée. Alors, petite cerise sur le gâteau, nous aurons aussi un tour de folie en passager avec un pilote top. Mais ça, c'est pour plus tard. Sur ce, je vous dis bon visionnement et à bientôt. Ciao, ciao.
Right now, we will continue with the technical presentation. For that, I would like to hand over to Tom Wheeler. He is the project manager for the 911 GT3 RS. Thanks you.
Thank you. Hi and welcome to the press media event of the new GT3 RS. The story starts 50 years ago with the Carrera RS 2.7. Unfortunately, I'm too young to know all the cool stories about this car, but Andreas Bräuninger told me it was a zero car. Fair enough. Now we stand for the brand new GT3 RS 992. Here in the delivery of the old one, maybe a picture of father and son. A little bit of history. The first RS version from a GT3 was the 996. The 997 Mark I followed with the wider body of the 911 Turbo, and the Mark II the first more engine power like the GT3 version. The 997 Mark II 4-liter, you all know the car, was the last Metzger engine, and we began a new concept era in the 991 Mark I with the new louvers, a bigger wing, and the first time a PDK in a GT car. The Mark II 991 followed with the whole new modification inside the engine, and the first time the Weissach Package. And now the 992 GT3 RS with an active aerodynamic, one cooler system, and a whole new lightweight design with a lot of carbon fiber parts. One of the biggest challenge in the development of the new GT3 RS was to integrate the one cooler system in the front section. So we are inspired from our race cars like the GT3R or the RSR that use this concept for a long time in motorsport history. Now we integrate the system in the GT3 RS, and long story short, the trunk was gone in the front section. No more trunk in the front section. What means one cooler system? So you see here the old three cooler system from the current 911 models or the predecessor. This means a side cooler in the side section and one in the middle. Now we use only one cooler in the front section and reduce the cooling surface up to 32%. But we increase the efficiency of the cooler and optimize the airflow through the cooler. And the very special thing is the S-duct layout from the new side cooler, from the new one cooler concept. That means we deflect the airflow behind the cooler upwards to the front lid and produce downforce at the front axle, like the Rennsport cars, like the race cars. A good old friend, our 4-liter natural inspired engine. You all know the engine from the predecessor, the whole new modification inside, the 991 Mark II GT3 RS. The engine was a carryover in the 992 GT3 with the tougher emission standards, and it was possible to increase the engine power up to 525 PS and keep the tougher emission standard compared to the predecessor. How we do that? First, an important thing was to create whole new intake and exhaust camshafts to produce more power in the engine. We optimized the cylinder head due to our higher lateral acceleration of this car, the higher performance of the new GT3 RS. Modified the engine control and increase the cooling performance of the oil cooler up to 20%. A little modification inside the throttle bodies to optimize the airflow through the throttle bodies and optimize the airflow. The 7-speed PDK double clutch gearbox is a carryover from the 992 GT3. The 7-speed PDK saves up to 20 kilograms of weight compared to the 8-speed PDK of the current 911 models that we use in the current 911 models. But the modification inside of the overall transmission ratio due to our bigger rims and tires. And we are optimized the cooling system and the lubrication of the gearbox. Due to the modification of engine, gearbox and single cooler concept, it was we got a new challenge of the Thermodynamics. So that means due to our new one cooler concept in the front, we got two big air outlets in the front lid. That means hot air flows out of the outlets over the roof in the rear section of the car. In the rear section of the car here is our intake for our engine, air intake for our engine. A natural inspired engine loves cold air. So for your calculation, 10 degrees of air temperature, 10 degrees difference of air temperature means you lost 15 PS or 15 horsepower. It was necessary to design new aero elements in the front lid and in the roof. We call the aero element in the front lids Boomerang or Nüstern in German, and fins on the roof. So we deflect the airflow around the roof and get cold air for the engine in the rear section. The main quote in the Aerodynamics, the main quote by Porsche calls form follows function. So that means all the features you see here, the side plates, louvers, fins on the roof, air intakes or wheel arch ventilation are all necessary to increase the aero performance of the car, to increase the performance of the car and not only design elements. For example, that means the intake of the surface here in the fender and the door. With this feature, it was possible to increase the wheel arch ventilation up to 75%, and that means it was possible to create more downforce on the front axle. What means this in numbers? We talk about now of 860 kilograms of pure downforce at 285 kilometers per hour. And that means more than the double like the predecessor. Very interesting this chart here. You see, these two dots means the low and high downforce position compared to the predecessor and the 992 GT3 RS. And what is very cool, you see the big range of these two dots for the new GT3 RS. So, and you have to know, you can to adjust these two dots, to adjust these two positions in the new GT3 RS automatically. And in the predecessor and 992 GT3, you have to use a tool. Also very interesting are the performance windows of our race car, the GT3 Cup, and the FIA GTE race cars for Le Mans and all other racetracks. And you see now in which playground the GT3 RS are playing. Now we come to the biggest thing on the new GT3 RS, the rear wing. We increase the surface compared to the predecessor up to 40% and use the first time a two-piece wheel ring with a movable flap that will adjust by a hydraulical system. And all the things you see here, the mounting bracket, the swan neck connection, or the wheel ring, the movable flap are all carbon fiber. To keep the aero balance from the rear to the front, it was necessary to do the same in the front section. That means, in the old position of the side cooler, the side section on the front, we integrate a whole new aero element. That means the surface are designed like a wing with a movable flap. And only with this feature it was possible to increase the downforce on the front axle up to 80%. The adjustment to keep the aero balance are synchronized from the front to the rear flap. And with these two pieces, the movable flaps in the front and rear was possible. Thank you, Mike. It was possible to integrate a DRS system the first time. DRS means drag reduction system. Maybe you know it from the Formula 1 or DTM race cars. So that means when the system are switched on and you want to drive very fast, maybe on the straight line, you want to reach the Vmax, the system will be moved the front and rear flap to the lower position and give you a little bit lower downforce and low drag. You need it for reaching the top speed of the car. But when you want to drive very fast in corners, like Jörg or Timo, you have to get a lot of downforce. So this system will be move the flap to the front and the rear to the upper position and give you the maximum total downforce of 860 kilograms. So if the system are switched on, the drag reduction system are switched on, the flaps on the rear and the front are in the higher position, the high downforce position. The activation of the system are automatically. That means the car will be recognized if you want to drive very fast with following parameters and move the flap in the front and the rear automatically in the lower position and gives you the low drag. You can also adjust by a button, adjust manual by a button on the steering wheel in every time. But no worry, it's everything not okay. Maybe you have to do a hard braking or you get spontaneously a lateral acceleration. The system will automatically switch off and give you the high downforce. All is safe. Aerodynamic note not only with the wings on the underbody as well. That means we use the first time a fully paneled underbody with up to 30 fins on it that deflect the airflow under the car and produce downforce. For example, only the rear diffuser produces 10% of the whole downforce in the rear section. Quite nice detail is the GT3 RS double wishbone front suspension. This is a carryover from the 992 GT3, but we designed every part of the suspension like a teardrop. And with this feature, only with this feature, it is possible to produce 40 kilograms of downforce on the front axle. Suspension to the chassis. Double wishbone suspension front axle is a carryover. We designed every part like a teardrop and widened it by 30 millimeters due to our bigger rims and tires. The modification on the brake was to increase the distance diameter of the brake calipers up to 32 millimeters and increase the thickness of the brake disc up to 36 millimeters due to our new performance of this car. And we use wider tire on the front and the rear axle compared to the predecessor. Long story short, all the chassis system you know from the GT3 are included in the GT3 RS. The PSM, PSM, the rear axis steering and the PTB Plus are all included, but a lot of more adjustable. Jörg, maybe you can help me to explain that.
Hopefully I can. I hope you guys are all doing well and you're excited for today. At least I am. So as you can see, we added quite some new knobs and buttons to the steering wheel, which makes it even more performance, and the ability of the cars are so big now. It's a race car driver's dream come true, basically. So my two favorite ones are the PSM and the PTV Plus. You can, if you swap to the next page, I can show you. By pressing the button on the PTV Plus, on the screen a pop-up comes up, and you can adjust front compression, rear compression, and front rebound and rear rebound, which gives you a much broader window to set up the car. For instance, the last couple of days we had mixed conditions, we had rain, so there I went fully soft on compression to generate a bit more grip in the corners, and on the rebound side I was around 0. So just to get a nice balance in the car, generate more grip, and give the car an even better grip level. This here is, for instance, my Nordschleife setting, a little stiffer on compression, just to get it a bit firmer, a bit more direct on the initial turn-ins. And on rebound, quite stiff there, because you have a lot of bumps there to keep the control and the body movement, and give you a bit more stable car there as well. So overall, a super big tool to help you adapt the car to the current track conditions, but also to your driving style and what you like from the car. And another really cool feature, Timo and I played with it a little bit yesterday. So we have the PTV, which is our electronical diff. So you can set up the coast and the power. Coast is when you're off throttle, so entering the corner on the brakes. The higher you go on the number, the more lock you will have on the differential, and therefore a more stable rear. So we'll give you more support. You can carry more speed into the corner. The downside, when you have too much lock, obviously at some point you're going to get understeer, and you want to find the balance on where you like it personally. I think that's quite a big difference what we had there yesterday, right, Timo?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jörg and me, we go way back. We shared the car in the old days, let's say, like 15 years ago, and he was known to generate a lot of, how can I say, rotation on the entry. That means like was braking late and braking very hard into the corner with a lot of steering input, which means like what he just said, like he would run the diff a little bit closer. In a race car, when you share like for 24 hours, obviously you cannot change the diff all the time when the driver changed. But here in this car, actually you could. So I did one lap with him on the passenger side, actually, which I still feel a bit sick now. Very, very well done. But there we could see he needed this with his driving side. He needed this rear stability. So when I jumped in after him, I obviously took his settings over, and I felt like with my driving style, a little bit, less braking into the corner, probably a little bit smooth on the steering input, I generated more understeer. So then I went down on the diff setting on the coast side, just down to 0, like 3 settings lower, and that gave me enough rotation for my driving style. So I think this is very well advanced. It's the same tools we use in motorsport, but you can actually do that from the steering wheel.
And while driving, so that's really the cool thing. And on the power side, you have the same possibilities. Power, you're on throttle. If you're facing traction problems, like you have single wheel spin, for instance, you just go higher on the number, and the traction will increase and get better. So it's really powerful tool, and yeah, as I said, not only race car drivers dream come true, but also for the engineers and the mechanics, because for them it's a lot less work. Yeah, that one.
You know the system, Jörg?
Yeah, a little bit. Usually I always turn it off, the TC and ESC, because that definitely increases the fun. But there again, we made a big step forward as well. Just like in the race car, we have a fully adjustable traction control now with 7 settings, so you can play around there as well. If it's holding you back too much, you go down on the numbers of the traction control. Or if you're driving in the rain and the rear is too nervous, you can go up, and it will give you more support. So overall, all those functionalities will give you the possibility to set up the car to your likings and track conditions and changing conditions as well. If you have questions, let me know. Yeah, that one you can preset your drive modes, like we have done in the past on the GT3, for instance. Pre-selected, and then next time you select your mode, it will come up automatically. So a nice little feature. Also, one thing I didn't mention before is most of the setup work we have done on 0.0 on the PSM and also the differential, so that's the fallback, and you don't really need to go to any special settings. The car will work perfectly fine there as well. And no matter what you do on damping or differential, it will always be safe to drive, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Last but not least, the intelligent lightweight design. So, very good picture of these. You can see here we use lightweight glass all around. We call it Gorilla Glass, and you know it from your smartphones. And we use carbon fiber parts. So, carbon fiber on the front lid, fender, roof, sonic connections, main wing, and the flap. And the first time in a street legal car, 911 street legal car, carbon fiber doors. What means this in numbers? Our base car was the 992 GT3. In addition of the carryover of the using the wider body of the turbo, the integration of the two-piece rear ring and two-piece front ring, and using the wider net tire and rims, we got more weight in the car. But we found a way to reduce the weight with our new designed magnesium wheels, carbon fiber rods, exhaust area, door, fender, and our single cooler concept. So, and now you get a number from 1,450 kilograms in the lightest version of the new GT3 RS. The most carbon fiber parts are included in our Weissach package. So, you know the Weissach package from the predecessor and can identify with an visible front lid, carbon fiber front lid, roof, and main flap in the rear. Main flap in the rear. Very interesting are the details of the package. So you get carbon fiber anti-roll bar in the front, in the rear, coupling rods, and share panel in carbon fiber. And all those parts you can save up to 5 kilograms of weight. Also, you get new design magnesium wheels and save compared to the aluminum base wheels up to 8 kilograms of weight. In the interior, you get carbon fiber door handles on the door panel, the Weissach Package logo on the seats, and the first time carbon fiber roll cage inside. And that will be up to 7.5 kilograms lighter than the steel bar. And you see here magnesium panels for the PDK with the magnet technology to give you feedback on every shift for the gearbox. Jörg, what's happened here?
Yeah, unfortunately, we tried 2 weeks ago, and an hour before our window of track time opened, it started raining. So we're going to try again pretty soon, and hopefully we'll deliver a nice lap time for you guys.